Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. We'll just start and let people introduce themselves as they join. So good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the forum. May we all mute ourselves, please. Apologies, there's an echo coming in here, so just mute. We're trying to get the echo off. Okay, exactly. Okay, can everyone hear me and can you see me properly? Sorry about that, glitches. We are starting now. And as I said, good morning, everyone. We're so glad to have you here. Welcome to the formal media launch and global introduction of USH Varsity. Thank you for taking the time off your schedule. We really appreciate that to join us for this meeting. Actually, I'm personally excited, maybe because I'm a soccer player, standardized practice, no professional practice. That's what USH Varsity is going to do for us. So thank you once more for joining us. As you come in, please introduce yourself, your name, your profession, and which country you're calling in from. My name is Ifechukwu Enwani. I am an environmental engineer by profession. I work as an environmental consultant. And when I'm not doing that, I also consult for school safety. I am from Nigeria and I'll be your moderator today. So I'll start with the housekeeping rules and then we'll get right into it. The first is for us to please mute our mics from our end to avoid background noise. Type in your questions during the presentation in the Q&A box, and every other comment can go to the chat box. If after the presentation you need to make a comment or you need to ask your questions verbally, just raise your hands and we're going to get to you, right? And if you're going to make a verbal comment or question, please introduce yourself before you go ahead. We are planning that this meeting will last for an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours at most, and we'll get back to our stations. So thank you once more for joining us. We are really grateful. So before I get into Mr. He presenting, I would like us to please go on our web browsers and type in menti.com and put in the code. So our web browsers, menti.com, and then we put in the code we are seeing on our screen. This would be a very quick activity. Can we all see the screen? Please, if you can see the screen, can you please let us know in the comment section? Okay, so I would like Mr. He talk about what USH Varsity is all about, right? But I've been in several presentations he has done, and he keeps saying even amidst certification, we have to build competence in the OSH industry, right? So my question here to us this morning is, do we think there is actually a significant disparity between certification and competence in the OSH industry? You know, do we think there is a great divide between certification and competence in the OSH industry? So I can see 4.8 strongly agree for most people. Okay, it's coming down. So what we're trying to ask here is, do you think some people actually are certified, you know, in OSH, qualified to be OSH professionals, but they don't have the required experience or skills to actually apply in practice? So we're getting a 4.1. That is about an agree. Okay. Okay. So I guess we are all agreeing there is a significant disparity between certification and competence in the OSH industry. Please, in the chat box, can we just share our reasons why we think this is so? So we've all agreed there is a significant disparity between certification and competence in the OSH industry. Why do we think this is so? In the chat box, please, just 1 or 2 comments and then we move ahead. Okay, it's coming down to a 3.7. So that means some people don't agree. Okay. So you type on your Chrome browser www.menti.com and you use the code 9835870, and this will show on your screen. And the question is, there is a significant disparity between certification and competence in the OSH industry. Do we agree? Do we disagree? How strongly do we agree to this? How strongly do we disagree to this? And I'm asking, we share why. So if you agree, why do you think this is so? So I'm getting from Jonathan that the disparity is due to lack of opportunity. Many people go for certifications with the hope to get a job, but the jobs are not available. Thank you, thank you, Jonathan, for sharing that. Norman says, not really, it goes down to experiential training. Thank you, Norman, for that. Job from SA says, he says, in SA, I believe the current registration process is far too lenient. Thank you, please keep the comments coming. And as you're typing in the comments, I'm going to ask the next question. So a high number of people are interested in OSH, but are not able to afford entry-level trainings and qualifications to start a career in occupational safety and health. Do we agree with this? So if you think it is a yes, please put it right there. And if you think it is a no, please let us know. Claudina says, many who may be interested in pursuing a career in OSH are unaware of the offerings that are available to them, depending on their aptitudes and qualifications. Many cannot afford to pursue formal training in OSH. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the comments. So I'll give us 2 minutes. Let's see what you think about this. So 9 people are saying yes and 3 people are saying no. Okay. Okay, please keep your answers coming. Keep your answers coming. Okay, Josie says the certification programs are mostly theoretical. Let me get that. The certification programs are mostly theoretical, while in practice, practical knowledge is actually the requirement. Thank you for that, Josie. So as you key in your response, I am going to say a big thank you. Please keep your response coming. We're going to collect that at the end of the session. It's going to be recorded on the platform. So thank you so much for all your thoughts, everyone. just for want of time, we're going to move ahead, right, to the main business of the day. So why are we here today? What is OSH Varsity about? What should we expect from OSH Varsity? So I am going to, at this point, hand over to Mr. Ehi. He is the faculty of OSH, is the head of faculty of OSH Varsity. However, before I do that, I would like to share an abridged profile of Mr. Ehi. Mr. Ehi, are you there? Can we see your face as I read your profile, please?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Ifechukwu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone joining us. Please, as you come in, introduce yourself in the chat box, your name, your profession, and the country you're joining us from. Please let's remember to mute our mics. If you have questions, put them in the Q&A session, and if you have every other comments, share them in the chat session. Mr. Ehi, thank you and congratulations. So Mr. Ehi is an occupational health and safety management consultant. He holds an MBA and an MSc in workplace health and safety, and currently a PhD student focusing on workplace health and wellness promotion as study area. He's a certified trainer, a life coach, and a career advisor. Mr. Ehi works as a Chief Executive Officer at Occupational Health and Safety Managers. He is the head of faculty, OSH Varsity, or OSH Varsity, president of OSH Africa, regional ambassador to Patient Safety Movement Foundation, and a workplace mental health ambassador. See my smile, so you inspire me every day. A member steering committee, European Network Education and Training in Occupational Safety and Health, and he's also a member, expert working on occupational safety and health for Africa Union. Mr. Ehi is also a great role model in the OSH career for me. I met him just a year ago, and he has made a tremendous impact in my journey as a school safety consultant and as a school safety or as safety advocate. And I believe he has done that for most upcoming professionals. Thank you, sir, for all you've done. It's an honor, really, to be moderating this event. So I'll hand it over to you right now and let you have the floor and tell us what OSH Varsity is all about. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ifechukwu, for deeming it very, very wise to moderate this program for us. And I thank everyone that have made it to be here today to be a part of such a great program. It's such an honor to be here today to share with you what we think should happen in going forward in terms of occupational health and safety. So OSH Varsity is what we'll be bringing to you today. This is not mine, this is ours. We need to all look at it together, what it represents and what we can do with this in going forward. What OSH Varsity is focused on is actually called OSH Varsity Training and Development Company. So that's why it's called OSH Varsity TDC. But I need to make a few clarifications here. And one of such is that there has been mix-up from the mails I have received from a few people, so I need to clear this appropriately. So OSH Varsity Occupational Health and Safety Managers, OHSM, that is where I work. That is my 8 to 5 work company where I earn salaries. So OHSM initiated OSH Varsity. So OSH Varsity is the training arm developed by occupational health and safety managers. When we conceptualized OSH Varsity, what we did was to stop all training that OHSM was offering and move everything about training to OSH Varsity so that OHSM can focus more on clinical occupational health programs. So now the mix-up is OSH Varsity, OSH Africa. They are not the same thing. OSH Varsity is a for-profit and non-for-profit venture that's focused on training, while OSH Africa is a foundation and non-for-profit foundation that comprises all occupational safety professionals across Africa. So this is like an association or a network of professionals. So they are all three different entities. At OHSM, I am a CEO. At OSH Varsity, I'm the head of faculty. At OSH Africa, I'm the president. So this is how I'm connected to these three different bodies so that we can all have clarity in going forward. Sorry, I think. Okay, when we look at OSH Varsity, which of course I stand for, I mean, the context of this presentation, like I said before, is a blend of two models. We stand for for-profit, we stand for non-for-profit. For-profit in the sense that we are able to do for-profit trainings for organizations who can pay to train their employees. But you agree with me that it's not every organization that can pay to train their employees. It's not everyone who desires to get trained in occupational health that has the opportunity or fortunate enough to be in those organizations that want to train their employees. So we're also positioned to train people who are not able to access training in occupational health, yet they have interest in occupational health. So we do for-profit organization, we do not for-profit for people who cannot afford the training. We give them those training at a zero cost. What are some of the challenges that we have across occupational health and safety, not just in Africa, but developing countries? One of such is we have fewer institutions offering occupational safety and health courses. And because there are fewer institutions, most people, by virtue of poverty index, are not able to access these institutions. So most of us who got trained in Africa and other developing countries, we had to almost lose our limb and render our parents poor for us to be able to secure trainings and certification abroad. But it's not everyone that's privileged to have this. Are we going to leave these people just to sit and watch or sit aloof? No, we will see what we can do to support these people. They talk about the high cost of OSH training. If you agree with me that to actually to have qualification in OSH is expensive, you pay between £750 to about £1,500. Those are very expensive courses. Many of us are not able to achieve it. But can we build a foundation where they can build, start a career and build on that over time? That's why OSH Varsity was conceptualized. When you match the cost of training with the rate of poverty in these low and medium income countries, you find out that we stand at a disadvantaged position in assessing training in occupational health and safety. So one of the things we also look at employability of OSH professionals in African workplaces. Haven't sought a way of getting these funds to get trained in occupational health safety. What is the guarantee that at the end of the day, haven't invested so much to get trained in this very specialized field that there is a job for you? So when you look at the employability of OSH professionals, vis-a-vis how much was spent in education, so this has become also a clear issue why people are not also investing so much in getting education in OSH. We got motivated by this, and one of the things that got us motivated is the paucity of OSH, is the paucity of trained OSH resources in developing countries. Like I said before, in developing countries, you have higher rate of accidents, most times poor OSH practices, yet we don't have enough manpower, enough resources to manage health and safety in the workplace. So that became of interest to us. Paucity or scarcity of OSH trained resources in developing countries. Then we're looking at the opportunities that the new world of technology also has to offer. Now, must I go to UK? Must I go to US or the Western world to go and school, to go and attend a course to get qualified in OSH? No. We're also leveraging on what the future of work is bringing in, leveraging on technology to see how we can use this to fast track the OSH training processes across Africa, not just putting certificates in the hands of people, but continually engage them in day-to-day training so that they can build competency in the area of OSH. Then we also look at the potential meaningful employment value. When these people really get trained, definitely they stand a chance of getting the job, whichever way you look at it. So why can't we get them trained? Even if they cannot afford the training, get them trained and give them an option to pay a pittance to get a certificate and allow them to start embracing the employment market and get a job. Then we also have the desire to save more lives in our workplaces. The more people that we get trained across low and medium income countries, the more people we are placed in the workplace to save lives. The more we get access to OSH education, the more we get updated daily in our competency in OSH, the more the workplaces become safer for all of us. So this is also a very strong motivation. Then the continuous OSH to reduce the rates of quackery. The truth is, whether you train these people or you don't train them, we have nothing to lose. But when you don't train a man that has a passion to pursue OSH, he goes into the field of OSH, all he has is passion, but no training. Can we take these people that have the passion and give them the training and put a foundation certificate in their hands where necessary and let them start from there? When we do this, what we also end up gaining is that we reduce the level of quackery in the area of occupational health and safety. Then what's the objective? One of the foremost objectives we have is to train the layman with passion for occupational health and safety and translating that passion into competencies. There are a lot of people that we see them every day. You talk to them, they want to do occupational and safety, talk about it, but we have not been able to get them trained and give them the requisite skills they need. But when we can support them and push them a little with, no matter how minute it is, low level of training, they will do better. So this is one of the objectives that drives OSH Varsity. Then the drive also to drive the culture of OSH competencies rather than the tradition of certification. I will explain this. We've seen a lot of people who have the best certificate in OSH. I mean, what really got me thinking along this line, I went for an OSH event in the hotels, and as I was coming out, a lady ran after me and was telling me, I want this job, I want to get job done. These are my qualifications. And they were all basically OSH qualifications. But now she's stuck with all those certificates. But I asked her, what do you want to do? She said she doesn't even know anything. She wants to see where she can intern and get the skills. She has all the certificates, but competency-wise, she's low. So these are the things we're looking at. So we want to see how we can promote competency above the culture of certifications. Yes, certifications are good but it is difficult to see a man move from zero and go to an advanced certification because he wants to have that certification. That is what his employers are looking for. Yes, he has a certificate, but he's not able to perform to the standard of that certificate. Why not advise that man, train that man to go through the basics to the middle level qualification before he moves to the advanced level certification? What we invariably do with OSH Varsity is that we also prepare people who have desire to have those advanced certification. We give them those foundations to build upon before they can transcend to those higher qualifications they need in occupational safety. What are the market segment we created for? We create to create entry pathways and support the following categories of people. We are not looking for men. We are not just looking for men who are OSH experts. In as much as we value those ones, we are looking for men who may not be OSH experts, fresh people, fresh graduates, fresh non-graduates who have interest in occupational health. What do we have to do? we bring them into class, we train them on on the basics of occupational health, stimulate their interest, and let them start a career from there. That's what we're looking for. Then secondly, to guide and train graduates from other fields who are considering career switch into occupational safety and related areas. There are many people who did courses. I mean, you agree with me that in Nigeria, even, I'm not sure we have any university that offers undergraduate program in occupational safety. So people, we all came from different backgrounds. My first degree was mass communication. That's where I came from. And most of us came from such different background. Now, people from such background that want a career switch, or they have worked before, but now they want a career switch, how do we get them started and channel those energy at the direction of occupational and safety? Those are the kind of people we're looking for. That's why we also have one of our products we have called Career Advisory Program. We're able to advise these people and guide them through into occupational health and safety. When we also want to guide and train existing OSH experts towards specialization. I'll speak a little more on this. What we have mostly across countries are OSH generalists. We have them across board. It's not a bad thing, but if you agree with me, the way OSH is fast growing in line with the new dynamics, there is need for most of us to start moving towards specialization. At the outbreak of COVID-19, there was high demand for occupational hygienists, and we had very few of them even across Africa. How do we start moving people from being OSH generalists and start getting them to specialize in very strategic areas? How do we start making them specialize in areas like occupational hygiene, drug and alcohol testing, ergonomics, working at height? We need to start moving our people, mental health, to such areas where they can become experts. Because when I need expert in an exclusive area, I should be able to have someone I can call, I can refer to an expert to come to my aid in those areas. So we're also looking at generalists that want to move to specialized areas. We also have a space for them where they can get trained, not necessarily getting certified, have knowledge of where I'm moving into. You can advance from there and do further qualifications to get to move on in that journey. Then we also want to develop and facilitate work-specific OSH training. How do we have a training that is called occupational health and safety training for facility managers, occupational health and safety training for fabricators, occupational and safety training for pipeline engineers? So we want to move from just doing general things and doing things that hitherto we have ignored. Occupational health and safety is a management program. So we need to start looking for how we can move people to specialized areas, design people for specialized trainings in line with the profession they belong to. Our trainings are designed to cater for low and medium income countries. Why are we focused on these ones? When you look at the developed countries, there are already a lot of, they have a lot of trainings, and most people in those climes can afford the trainings, but we have people in these LMICs who are not able to afford this training for obvious reasons. Use the poverty index as an example. Let's see how we can bring them together under one umbrella and offer them training that can improve their competency and make them useful in their place of work. Well, I don't want to bother you about this, but these are some of the courses we are playing with. We talked about career advisory and coaching. Many people came into occupational health and safety by accident without necessarily going through the career advisory pathway. If most of us have gone through the career advisory and coaching program, we would have been better than we are today. So we want to see how we can also create support for people who are coming into us. How do we guide them? We are going to have everybody get involved in this. How do we guide them? How do we mentor them? How do we advise them amongst the variables they have within as options on how to make the best choice? Again, we need to start training people on occupational health and safety facilitation. We all came into this space, but how I mean, by virtue of the kind of job that we do, we grow in our job, in our workplaces. We have to train people in our workplaces. How much of a good trainer are we? Who is training us to become trainers? So we also have programs that we're putting in place where we also start training those who can also become trainers in their workplaces. Then we also have to start looking at how do we put people. I mean, recently we realized how the safety of the healthcare worker became a very significant issue when COVID-19 came. So we're also looking at helping our people, I mean, grounding them and training them in the area of patient safety and quality improvement in healthcare. We need, because if you look at the World Day for Patient Safety 2020, there was a shift from just patient safety now to the safety of the healthcare workers. So we also need people to start getting abreast, getting trained in this direction and moving them into the healthcare workspace. I must say here that hospitals, healthcare facilities were originally workplaces before they became a place where we access care. They were also looking at the science of developing and managing OSH data. We need to see how we can start propagating data, putting together data. We do a lot, but we are not able to put together those data. Data helps us to scale up. Data is evidence, but we are not using it. So one of the few things or new things we are bringing in to OSH in Africa or in LMIC is to see how we can start training strategic courses like the science of developing and managing all data. How do we put together all the data that are looking at us? How do we harness them and make them become useful tools for us to make health and safety decisions? Sorry. Then we also have courses that we've designed how to conduct occupational health surveillance, how to conduct OSH research. By virtue of being occupational health and safety professional, I just think we need to have some level of knowledge on OSH research. Many people want to get involved in research, but they don't have the capabilities. How do we help them scale up from where they are right now to where they can become good and resourceful in being able to carry out, no matter how little the research is, that can be useful for us to improve OSH system in our different localities. The act of abstract writing, we're also creating program. I tell you the truth, I was in Vienna last year, and I spoke to a very close friend of mine. When I told them I was the only one that came from Africa into that conference, it was 2019. But what he told me was, we want Africans in our programs, but we can't find them. And most times when we find some and they send us abstracts, we can't comprehend it. So it means for you to be able to stand on a global stage to speak, you need to first get to know the art of writing what you call good abstract. So these are some of the things we are bringing into OSH space so that Africans and most people from LMIC can also become competitive in occupational and safety and health globally. What are our delivery methods and channels? Predominantly, we'll go rely on the online model because, I mean, it helps us to have a wider reach. I cannot live here to go and train a man in Guyana. I can't live here to go and train a man in Trinidad and Tobago, but through online training, with online classes, we can reach them all. So predominantly, we go run online programs, but we'll still go have physical classes, which of course may make 50% of our training. For those who are within our locality, definitely yes. When they have physical classes, we can still hold that for them. But for people who are far off, definitely online is our best tool. Then we also have what we call pre and post training evaluation model. We're also using that. Why are we using this? We want to be able to measure your level of knowledge before you came into our class and your level of understanding or knowledge at the end of the class. If you came into our class and you left the same way you came, it means training never really happened. So we want to be able to evaluate the students' level of knowledge or competencies at the point of entry and at the point of exit or when we end the class. Then we also want to see how we can start using pre-class tasks. Each class may take about 2 hours a week, and it may just be for 1 week or for 2 weeks. But 2 hours a week is the class that you will attend. But before that class commences, at registration and 1 week to the class commencement, we are going to send you class materials, tasks you are going to start working with before you come to the class. So we are already engaging you a week before the class. And in most of the courses also, after the class, you also have tasks that you have to go with. So we want to see how not just having 2 hours to spend in class, but to see what you can do to engage yourself at the time that you have to create time and also solve problems that you can bring for us to look at the end of the day. Then what is some preconditions that we have in place? We are not, like we said before, we are not training for certificates, but it doesn't mean that you cannot request for a certificate. It is optional. You can sign into our class, enjoy the tenure of the class, the duration of the class, and you say you're okay and you go. Nobody is going to hold you bound for anything. You don't need to pay anything for it. That is absolutely free. But we are happy that we are able to impart knowledge on you. But for people who want to have a certificate to show for this class, you can request for the certificate after the class. We will make you pay a pittance, something less than $10. You will pay a pittance for the issue of that certificate. But for you to be qualified for the issuance of a certificate, one, you must have met the class condition, the course condition, which includes completion of the pre and post training evaluation. You must complete those evaluations, and every task you were given in the class, you must complete them to the submission stage that will look at it before you are eligible to request for a certificate. So when we are giving that certificate out, it means we have evaluated you, and what we have found, we found it necessary for us to issue you a certificate. Every certificate you decide to request and pay for further empowers us to bring in more people into the class. What that means is that when you decide to say, okay, I want to have a certificate in this class, and you pay maybe $8 or $10 for that course, for that certificate, what that does for us is that it helps us to bring people, fresh people, back into the class at no cost to be able to get trained. What we are using is the funds, the proceeds of the courses we do for organizations and corporations that are able to pay. Those funds and the funds you pay to access a certificate, they are being plowed back to offer fresh people who cannot afford the training, occupational and safety training. So understand the fact that when you pay for a certificate, you are indirectly funding us to be able to offer training for other people at no cost. People have asked me this, what are our sources of funding? Who's funding us? To be honest, the funding we have got so far is basically my out-of-pocket expenses. Everything we have done so far have been funded by me from my salaries and the money I get for my day-to-day work. Can you please mute your mic? Michael, mute your mic, please. So the funding that I get from my day-to-day work is what we have used to fund this program so far. Do we need support or funding? Definitely we do. Any way you can support us, we need to come support us. You can actually go to Urge Varsity website and you see the donations and support link. Please leave a mail for me in that place. Any way you can support us. You want to give us $5 every month, you want to give us $2 every month, $10 every month, whichever way you can. You want to volunteer your time to offer facilitation in some of our classes, it's very okay. Whichever way you can support us, we need you to support us. But the overall aim is that we need to improve the competencies of people within the LMIC. That is the overall goal. Training resources and validation. We don't just bring every training to our people who are our community of learners. We rely on our global network, people we have met, people who believe in this dream, people who are our friends across the world. We are bringing them all together, bringing your resources, your expertise to help us run a class. If you are my friend, you live in Venezuela, you live in Mozambique, you live in Uganda, you live in Kenya, and I know your area of expertise, and I know that we want to run a course along this line. People need this expertise. We will approach you. We'll need you to help us put a class session together that will run for people to benefit from. So we also have a lot of people who are volunteering their time in terms of trainings and modules development. Then we run volunteer program. You can be a part of a volunteer program, whichever way you can help us. There's a training you have on maybe chemical handlers, safety in chemical management. We'll look at it, bring them on board for us, because there are people we know that will benefit from. We advertise it, and those who are interested, we book for those trainings, and we are able to offer those trainings to people at no cost. But one of the things we do is that every training that is brought to us, we don't just go ahead to just implement them. We make sure that those trainings, they go through what you call review and validation of the content, and they have to be approved by our faculty advisory board before we can present this training to our people. And once those approvals are gotten, then we have what you call the sign-off agreement between Urge Varsity and the volunteer who will offer this training to our people. Definitely, these are some of the things that fall within the roles of our faculty advisory board. Duration of our courses, most times the minimum duration we have for every course that we have is 2 hours, 2 hours of class work. But I tell you the truth, every 2 hours of class work, it invariably means about 3 to 4 hours of work, because we are going to give you tasks, you are going to spend your time to figure out that will take you within 1 or 2 hours to complete. So that it means when you have 2 hours of class work, you're actually spending about 3 or 4 hours achieving the entire program. We have space classes that could be, we have classes for 1 week, we have classes for 2 weeks, we have 3 weeks, we have 4 weeks. I will explain this. When we have classes, a class for 1 week, it means that class is 2 hours plus the task that you will have to go through on your own. It brings you about 3 or 4 hours. When we have classes that we call 2 weeks, it means 2 hours per week. It means you have 4 hours in those 2 weeks for class session, and have an average of 3 hours or 4 hours also for your personal tasks. And when we say 4 weeks class, it means we're having 2 weeks, 2 hours a week. That means 2 hours a week times 4 weeks. It means you have 8 hours for the 4 weeks, and you also have time to spend on your task that you'll be given. So these are the ways these classes have been modeled and can be accessed from anywhere in the world. I want to, at this point, introduce you to some very great people who were kind enough to support this project and volunteer and agree to be part of our advisory board. We have Dr. Yohama Carabello Arias. She's a Venezuela occupational head and occupational medicine consultant, and she volunteered to be part of the board, and she's been very useful in helping us developing all that we have done so far. We have Dr. Kevin Uzoma. Kevin Uzoma is a physician and occupational medicine expert from University of Manchester. So he's also very useful in helping us to do all that we've done so far. Then we have Dr. Amira Omrin. Amira Omri is from Tunisia. Is an assistant professor of occupational medicine. She has also been very resourceful in helping us to develop all that we have done so far. And we have my very good friend and brother, Wellington Mudenha. He's a very astute, strong and astute occupational safety and environment consultant in South Africa. He's also doing his PhD, so he's also been very useful to us in developing what we have done so far. He functions here as part of our advisory board. Then you have Dr. Chiwe Adebiyi, who is also a physician who works in the pharmaceutical industry, and she's a global medical director in the pharmaceutical industry in New York. She has also been very resourceful in helping us do this. Then you have my humble self. I have also been here to also contribute as much as I can. So, dear colleagues, this is it, and I'll wait for you for your questions, and I hope you enjoy the presentation. So, thank you so much, and this is where it ends from me. So, I'll wait to hear from you. Thanks a lot for being a very great audience.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ehi. We're so excited about the Urge Varsity venture. So before we go to questions and comments, we have about 2 questions and a comment in the in the chat box. I will just have a brief recap or a brief summary of what Mr. Ehi just talked about. But before I go ahead, we would agree that the faculty actually did a proper gap analysis and needs assessment in OSH profession in our climb. And I'm betting that OSH Varsity would solve those problems and close the gap we are experiencing right now. So in brief, what are the objectives of OSH Varsity? To allow interested people to access quality OSH training in Africa and involve them in day-to-day practice. This way, there can be improved in a great increase, or there will be improvement of competence, level of competence in the OSH profession, to drive culture of OSH competencies rather than tradition of certifications. So we have more certified competent people and not certified people that are actually not competent, to create entry pathways into the OSH profession and then build specialization. So instead of everyone actually being OSH generalist, they can actually pick an area of specialization and then stick to it. Then for arrangements, there are a few arrangements that were actually interesting. The fact that OSH Varsity has a train-the-trainer program. So they also realize that in training us, they would also have to hold themselves accountable and keep improving their expertise. They also have the pre and post-training evaluation model. We all know the saying that says, if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. So the model will go a great deal in holding them accountable. There is also certification on request if the participants meet all required conditions. And then if you're paying, know that you are actually funding someone out there that cannot afford the training fee. OSH Varsity is open to support, be it technical assistance or financial resource. OSH Varsity is actually open to that. So I'll go ahead. Thank you so much, Mr. Ehi, and thank you to all those that volunteered their resources and to the faculty of OSH Varsity. I will go ahead and read out the questions to you, Mr. Ehi. I'll start with those in the comments section. So a question here says, well, I don't know if it has to do with this, but I'll read it all the same. How can I deal with employees' characters at the workplace as a safety officer, e.g. not complying with the use of PPE? This is Susan asking from Uganda. Should I read all the questions and you answer, or I read a question and then you answer?
Let's have the questions.
All the questions. Okay, so I'll repeat this. How can I deal with employees' characters at the workplace as a safety officer, example, not complying with the use of PPE? So this question is from Susan from Uganda. Okay, you have a comment from Helen Hughes. She says, Ehi, do engage with us if we can help you develop resources on safety in healthcare. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Helen.
So much. So to the question and answer section, from Mr. Kingsley Ahanono, he says, or he's asking, we all know the importance of accreditation and authenticity of certification and bodies, which provides training used by employees to screen professionals. As regards accreditation, what is or what will be the rating of OSH Varsity? Then someone else is asking, we will appreciate if the lecture is sent to us after the lunch. I guess that will be done. I can't say that. I hope that will be done. Jackie is asking, will the qualifications offered by OSH Varsity be recognized worldwide?
Okay.
And another question from Norman. The main issue is quality mentors. We can train people theoretically, but the deficit in practical session, how can the OSH Varsity? Okay, let me take that again. The main issue is quality mentors. We can train people theoretically, but there is deficit in practical session. What can OSH Varsity, or what will OSH Varsity do differently? And then the last is asking, how will we facilitate online access to courses, particularly for freshmen who may not have the resources or internet access? That's an interesting question. Over to you, Mr. Ehi.
Okay, thank you so much, Ifechukwu. Let me take the first question, dealing with people, behavior or character issue within the workplace. The truth is that is a long-term issue that most of us face in our workplace. That's basically a behavior issue. But if you ask me from the point of a trainer, one of the greatest means of achieving behavioral change is through training and retraining of the people. But when you're doing those training, let people want to know what is in for me. One of the areas where I think we have not also done so well in occupational safety is that people do not know why they are meant to do what they are asked to do. The more we are able to let them understand why they have to do what we are telling them to do, compliance level improves. And I think that's an approach you can use, because most times we do things because we are meant to do it. We just check them out, do this. What is the reason? Why are we doing what we are being asked to do? When we know that, we are able to drive compliance. But in a nutshell, I think training and retraining will help you to overcome this. Then from Kingsley, that talked about certification. Like if you heard me clearly, I said we are not training for certificates. We are training for competencies. But that doesn't mean I will not issue a certificate. But on the short term, we might have a little issue along this line. But one thing I know is already going for us is that there are already schools that we're discussing with already, that discussions are already on for co-issuance of our certificates. That has not been closed out. One of such things we want to do is, are there universities that believe in what we're doing that we can send our courses to revalidate? That we can send our courses to, we co-revalidate, then we co-issue our certificate. That is an area that we are discussing. And in no distant time, all those ones will be closed out. So in the interim, we're issuing exclusively OSH Varsity certificate, but in the mid and long term, we're going to be having OSH Varsity being co-issued with a certain university. I don't mention the name here, but that's on the pipeline. And with that, you can have that certificate being accepted based on the credibility of such university. For the slides, if you want us to share it, definitely we will share it after the program. But you mentioned lunch. We'll serve you an e-lunch. You have that before you leave, okay? Then the recognition of the certificate, that I think Jackie asked that question. This also intertwined with what Kingsley asked. We are discussing with a few universities that we can co-issue with. But let me pull this up. Assuming we are doing a training in, let's assume we are doing a training in offering a training to a certain organization in Sri Lanka, and we have a partnership with the university in Sri Lanka that wants us to co-issue that certificate. Yes, we will. But what you will do is that you see the certificate and you see OSH Varsity by the side. That's what we're doing. So most of our certificates, as these discussions already, as we are able to close out on this discussion, we are going to have co-issuance of OSH Varsity certificate with certain institutions or universities across the world. But I mean, that should be enough to give it some level of recognition as it deserves. Then Norma asks issues on that training is not the issue. The issue of quality mentorship. I totally agree with you, because most times a number of people have come into occupational safety space with so much hope and aspiration. As they come in, you find out that after about 1-2 years, they fizzle out. But let me stress this. If you are looking for a place or a field of practice where you become a millionaire in 2 years, this is not the right place. You need to have that at the back of your mind, because most people come in with that mindset of they want to get, how much can I get from this? You don't cash out in OSH profession. You add value. What we do here, everyone who is able to work under us, under our supervision or management, and is able to go back home safely at the end of every day without being hurt or harmed, that's what you have earned for the work you have done. So that's the kind of value you're creating. But we also need to have if you look at the course I read earlier, I mentioned something like occupational health and safety leadership. We need to start focusing more on that. We need to start having leaders that can inspire people that are just coming in to fall in love with occupational health and safety. But in some cases, you could have some very terrible leaders. You know, leadership also and management process could also be a very strong issue. We need to raise leaders. That's why we're also having courses in occupational health and safety leadership that can inspire younger people, inspire younger ones into the profession. At the end of the day, if you have the OSH professionals of the generation next, when they come to take the lead, and there is no one that can point at you that I am excelling in this profession because S and S person mentored me or managed me, then you have failed. So we all need to go back home to start looking at the kind of leadership we are inspiring in our different space and see how we can improve on that. My leadership style in occupational and safety, is it attracting more people into the field? Is it inspiring those that work with me? Because the truth is that when we're climbing, people supported us. But don't forget that you are not at the top. Responsibility is placed on you to support those that are also going to grow from underneath. So you need to balance this out. But one of the things we'll also be doing is that everyone we have known, no matter the locality you are, if I have somebody who has gone through our class, is in Uganda, is looking for a mentor, I will point at Jackie at once. I'll point to Alex Kuku at once. I will point to people I know that are in those countries. So we have people in different countries, we have leaders in different countries, and we have people in those countries who need to be mentored. That's why we talk about our volunteering service. We have to bring in people that we know in those countries that can help keep an eye on such a person, mentor that person until it become, I'm able to do something significant in occupational health and safety. For those who want to access our courses rather, and they don't have access to internet, we are sorry, we can't help in that regard. We can only do what we know we can do. There are a lot of things that are beyond our control. So you need to have access to internet for you to be able to access our courses. I hope I have answered all the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. He. You have more questions. So I will read them out. Okay, so a question here says, is there an opportunity for collaboration with centers in other African countries? And will you offer exit qualifications, accredited qualifications? And then to Susan, someone says here, we can share ideas in relation to your challenges. So you can reach out to this person, that is Michael. And then Dr. Kevin is saying, a course to consider is behavioral change approach in OSH, particularly in tackling workers in the workplace. Mr. Ehi, did you see that?
Yes.
Okay, and then Mr. Wellington says, this has been a great media launch. The objectives of OSHversity resonate well with me. My only hope is that we find organizations that will fund this initiative so that we may achieve these objectives. I sincerely hope so too. And we have other questions from the Q&A box. Okay, it says here, as you know, the absence of employer engagement and interest is one of the biggest challenges of OSH in Africa. Will OSH Varsity provide education for employers too? And Indina is asking, is there an opportunity? Okay, I've read that. Okay, Mr. Wellington says we should not forget to have an ethics course in OSH. It's something that is often overlooked in many existing courses. So we've had Mr. Wellington suggest an ethics course and a behavioral change approach in OSH. So over to you, Mr. Ehi.
Okay, thank you so much, Ifechuku. For the collaboration question, yes. As a matter of fact, yesterday and the day before, I got 3 emails. One from Southern Africa, one from Eastern Africa, and one from the UK. There are a lot of collaborations we're already discussing right now. Yes, we are open to all manner of collaboration. All that we need to do, the more people we have trained and are able to perform and excel in occupational health and safety, the more satisfied we become. So it is not about us, about EHI or OSH Varsity. It's about all of us seated in this room, in this meeting. We all have a role to play. Yes, every organization that we know will collaborate with them to see what we can do, and this is the way to, because collaboration is the new world order. You can't stand alone. So collaboration, yes, we are very open to that. Then the exit qualification, I didn't really get that clearly, so I will leave that for the last. I don't know what for the behavioral based safety training. Yes, Dr. Kevin, definitely, because that's one of the things I mentioned that will be needed to actually inform people's behavior. I mean, for compliance in the workplace. So that's what you call behavioral based safety program. So we are behavior based safety program. So we'll go also consider that in our overall training offerings. The employees engagement and interest from management that's very crucial. That's why we had that course that talked about health and safety leadership. As a matter of fact, there's a course we have played with that we will be bringing back to this. It's called the Economics of Health and Safety. That's a high-level leadership course, which we will see how we can bring to leaders of corporations and organizations, because they need to know why they are told to do what they have to do. One of the courses we'll also be bringing to you is how to the economic value or quantification of OSH by OSH professional, because most times we get to our MDs, our leaders, all they see from our presentation is we have brought in another cost again. So OSH is being seen as a cost unit for the company. How do we switch this to become what is being seen as a profit unit? You go through the frustration, not seeing your budget or what you want to do, they are not being approved by your employer or by your immediate head in the office. What can you do differently? It may be that you are just throwing, I want to do this. Don't just throw, I want to do this. These are the things I think we should do, and highlight the value you think those things are going to bring to the organization. So most times they see what you want to do, they can have an insight into the value that those things are bringing to organization. So these are the areas we'll be engaging organizations. There are going to be classes that are designed for, because I would like to host that class where I can have leadership of organizations from different countries come together under one Zoom meeting, and it will really be an interesting thing so that they can share experience and they can bring forth what they have done and other people also learn from it. So that's a key area we'll be looking at. I mean, looking at leadership from different organizations, bring them together to learn under one umbrella. So it will also be a learning pattern for us to see what is happening in, maybe Slovenia, maybe what's happening in Ouagadougou and stuff like that. So we need to have that. We're going to be engaging leaders in that direction. Those are going to be high-level management training that will be designed for a higher management staff. Then thank you, Wellington. That's very crucial, because we also need to have what you call ethics and practice, ethics of the profession, because most times we are all here, but we don't really know who is an occupational and safety professional. What are the qualities I need to have? What are those things I need to do? What are those things I shouldn't do? So we need to have what you call train people on what you call the code and ethics of the profession. Like a doctor knows what he should do and what he shouldn't do. So at the point of taking his practice oath, he knows those things. So thank you, Wellington. This is very crucial. We'll be looking at this as part of the course that we'll be developing and see how we can put across. This will be helpful because so that you don't go about disgracing the profession. When you disgrace the profession, when you disgrace yourself in wherever your work is, all of us you have disgraced. So please, it's very crucial when we do this. But can you take me back to that exit qualification as it was put, dear moderator?
Okay, sir, I will read that again. However, I've asked for clarification. I hope that comes in before the end. But so the question goes this way, word for word. Is there an opportunity for collaboration with centers in other African countries? And will you offer exit qualifications in a bracket accredited? I've asked for clarification.
It's fine.
Yes, that's what.
We are not, where I sit here this morning, we cannot guarantee, we can't stay here and promise an accredited qualification until we are able to tie up those discussions we are having with all the universities and higher institutions we are having those discussions with. So those accredited certifications are going to be co-issued with those universities upon conclusion of those discussions. Are they going to be available? Yes, they'll be available, but we need to finish those discussions there before I can make a categorical statement on that. I hope that answers that question.
I hope so too. Helen says, a very important issue, Ehi, the business case for safety with cost-benefit analysis. And personally, I totally agree. So most times I present our solutions to management, and you say the openness to want to listen to you when you share the cost-benefit analysis. Let's all remember that with management, they want to hear profits. So tell them how what you're preferring is going to save them cost or is going to add to their profit, and you would go a long way in convincing them. We have a comment here. It says, if University partners with local leading universities to offer accredited programs, it will be a huge success as we have a big gap in the market. Exactly, Jackie, exactly. Okay, let's also remember that when we are dealing with safety or trying to convince people to buy into the safety protocols we are sharing, the reason behind is key. So always share the why, so you can get them to comply. I always say get them to get committed. So that way they will stick to whatever it is you're doing, whether you're there or not. Those are the comments and questions we have at the moment. So let's just have a feel of what Arch Varsity is about. What does it look like when you go online to seek them out, at least before we leave. So I would share my screen. And where are you? Okay, can we all see the screen? Mr. He, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
So this is what Arch Varsity is. So simply type into your Chrome browser or your browser, I use Chrome, into your browser, archvarsity.com, and it directs you to this page. And we have the home page. It talks about who we are, what the courses Arch Varsity has to offer, career advisory and coaching, Arch training and skills improvement, workplace mental health training, safety and health leadership. And I guess with time, these courses would keep being added upon to serve the purpose or to meet the objectives. We have the About Us page that talks in details about what Arch Varsity is about. The mission statement, I'll just read this out. To continuously support the improvement and development of new skills and competencies in the field of occupational safety and health. And then the vision is to consistently inspire fresh graduates into the field of Arch and supporting skills improvement of existing OSH practitioners across LMIC. And then we have our courses, which was on the home page too. And we have the contacts page. And we have the faculty advisory board, and we have our donations and support. I'm going to skip the faculty advisory board because Mr. Ehi has shown us those amounts. So this is the donation and support page. So you can send an email across and someone at the back end will get across to you and tell you better how to donate and support. So this is what OSH looks like on our browser. Okay, in the absence of more comments and questions, okay. Wow, okay. Someone says impressive website, Mr. I, impressive website. Congratulations. And Emma Voice says, I work at height. Please, how do we tackle riggers? How do we tackle riggers who work at height without no safety gadgets?
Well, Emma, that's a very wrong process, because you are not supposed working at height above a certain, is any height that's above your height, above your physical height, is working at height. So working in that realm without safety gadgets is a disaster waiting to happen. That's very risky. You fall from that height and that job, if you survive, you will not come back to that job even. So it's important that you, before you work at height, as a matter of urgency, you need to go through what you call safety training called working at height training. You need to have that before you go into working at height. You need to have what you call working at height training, and that qualifies you to get involved in working at height. As a matter of fact, we did that training. That was one of the first training OSH University did for a paying client that's involved in tower building. We did that, and one of the some of the things we have to look at is the safety of the work process. How do you test your scaffold? How do you test yourself before you there's even a medical part of it where you have to get medically certified to work at height, because there's some people that have height phobia. So it's a whole lot of issues. So there's a training to that effect for working at height practice before you get involved in a work at height. So in the interim, let me quickly, I don't know, there are a few people here I want to hear from. Ulrike Boma, I saw you earlier on. If you are still here, just kindly unmute your mic. We want to hear from you. Ulrike Bowman, if you are still here, let's hear from you. Why? Okay, she's here. Kindly unmute your mic. Okay, good.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Bowman. You don't hear from.
My congratulations. I just wrote some comments. I will send them to you, but congratulations. That's a big endeavor. I think the approach is very, very good, and it's a full scope. It's very systematic. It's professional, and I wish you all the luck you need.
Thank you very much, Bowman. Thank you very much. I have one of the. Thank you very much, Bowman. I appreciate such comments. I have some of our board members are here. I have Dr. Kevin. If you are still here, we want to hear from you. Why Wellington, be on standby. Dr. Kevin, please. And Dr. Yohama, if you are here, be on standby. Dr. Kevin Uzoma. Okay, he's here. Please unmute yourself. Can you unmute your mic? A moderator, are you able to help me unmute him? Is it possible? Dr. Kevin, you need to unmute your mic. Okay. While we wait for that, let's hear from Wellington. Wellington, are you here? While Wellington comes up, Helen, just be on standby. I'll come to you. Is Wellington still here? Oh, Wellington is gone. Okay. Helen Hughes, are you still here? Okay, Helen is here. Kindly unmute your mic.
Hello. Welcome. What an amazing launch. Well done.
Thank you.
Very impressive. We work, as he knows, we've had conversations, we work in patient safety, so we're very interested in the integration of patient and occupational safety. And we've been discussing how we might be able to support the sharing of knowledge. We have a free learning platform for safety, and we may want to engage and put content on there so people can see that and get benefit. So as you develop your training around occupational safety within healthcare, very, very keen to collaborate and support your initiative. Well done.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate it. I don't know if Dr. Titilola Hamid is here.
Mr. Ehi, while we wait for her to come on, so there's been clarification to the question. Exit qualifications, I mean BSc certificates, I guess BSc, MSc, So if you could answer that after Titilola responds.
Okay.
Thank you.
Titilola, are you here?
Hear me, please.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, it sounds very faint. I'd like to say well done in respect of what you have put together. I'm happy to be associated with you, happy to be associated with the project, although I'm just getting a word of what is going on, this afternoon. We'll probably speak behind, the forum, but I hope everything becomes, I hope your drive is successful, very successful at the end of the day. And I hope other continents will be able to emulate this as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For the BSc program, we are not towing that part for now, but I'll tell you what we are doing, not from OSH Varsity. I told you earlier, I'm also the president of OSH Africa. From OSH Africa perspective, there is already a university in Eastern African region we are having a discussion with. One of the things we'll be doing with them is we'll support them to see how we can develop an occupational health department that will offer BSc. That discussion is on, but it's not from OSH Varsity. That's an OSH Africa project. We are working on that, okay? And that we are sure we should be able to conclude. We're fast tracking that process, but we know where we are by middle of next year on that issue. I hope that answers that. Thank you.
I think so. In the absence of comments someone says congratulations on the launch. It is a very big gap you are going to fill. Well done. This is one of the reasons I'm very excited. I see that. So thank you so much, Jackie, for that comment. So in the absence of comments and questions, before I hand over to Mr. Ehi for his closing remarks and vote of thanks, I would love us to just have this one more activity, and then over to Mr. Ehi. So I would share my screen. Let me see that. So can we all see the screen, please?
Yes.
Type in your browser www.menti.com. So for those that already did that, same website, and then we use the code 4307787. So www.menti.com www.menti.com, and we use the code 4307787. So we've heard about Oshversity. In case we were in doubt what it was about, Mr. Ehi has shared with us, and the questions and the comments must have, thrown more light. So in one word, what impact do you think Oshversity will have on the Osh industry? Please, one word. You have up to 3 options. So please just type it in. What impact do you see Oshversity having on the Osh industry? We would love to hear your thoughts. Mr. Ehi, yes. I need you to say this. Competence, this is beautiful. Inspiration, improvement, standards. Okay, so we have competency 2 times. Sustainability, I love that. Compliance. Thank you so much. Please keep the response coming for about a minute, and then we move ahead. So you type on your browser www.menti.com and you use the code 4307787. One thing in capacity, coverage, that's beautiful. Standards. Keep the words coming, please. Keep the words coming. Okay, 45 seconds to go. So type on your browser www.menti.com and then you use the code 4307787. You have up to 3 options.
I'm seeing 2 participants raise their hands here.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I will get to them when I stop sharing my screen. Thank you. Okay, so I see knowledge, I see courage, there is improvement, there is greatness. That is beautiful. So in all, competence keeps coming over and over again. And I guess that's one of the major objectives for setting up Oshversity in the first place. Inclusiveness. So at the end of the day, I'm going to share this with you, Mr. Ehi, and you can share with the participants. And hopefully in years to come, we're going to look at the compilation of these words and say, yes, indeed, Oshversity met up with all this. So I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you so much, everyone, for your responses. And I will get to those that are raising their hands. 1 minute, please. Okay, so we have Fumilola Oladokun. Can you unmute yourself? Or could the host unmute her and let's hear what she has to say? We also have Isioma B. Ehi.
That's my wife.
So can we get them to unmute themselves? Yes. Okay. Ms. Fumilola, please can you unmute yourself and let's hear what you have to say. We lost her. Okay.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay. What I would like to say is Oshversity is something every professional in this part of the world has always looked forward to having. And I want to salute and appreciate Paheyi for this noble because he took the stride to do that. A lot of people know what to do, they've been certified. But in the area of competence, they have a very, very huge gap, which is very, very prevalent in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria, where we have a lot of people who have the quest to do certifications, but after the certifications, what next? So I think OSH Varsity is going to fill in that gap, and I wish Patty and all of us a very good future in OSH Varsity. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So please, can we get Mrs. Isioma on board so she shares her thoughts?
Okay. Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful time here. I first and foremost would like to congratulate Mr. Eden. This is a very amazing idea, and I know definitely to go far and wide. Congratulations, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, I must say that OSH Varsity is empowering, or would empower people, because what you said while you were introducing OSH Varsity is that if you find yourself incapable of training yourself, come to OSH Varsity, you'll be trained. It therefore means that you are ready to empower people. And I think this is one of the very first for me. I'm going to thank you so much for empowering not just this society, but the larger society, because I look at OSH Varsity as reaching the globe. And I'm going to thank you, and I pray that this would really touch the lives you are expecting. God bless you. Congratulations once again.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So Mr. Ehi, over to you. Thank you to everyone that has joined us. Thank you for giving us your time. And it's been a pleasure moderating this event. And I would hand over to Mr. Ehi for his vote of thanks.
Okay, thank you so much, Ifechukwu Iwani. I really appreciate you for the moderation of this program, in spite of the very short notice, and for a very great job you have done here. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. But I must also, at this point, appreciate my wife, who has also made so much sacrifices. Sometimes I come back from work so late because I was working on this project, and she was just there at all time. Thank you so much, Barbara, for the support and encouragement to where, in pushing me to where I am today. I really appreciate all that. And I want to thank everyone from every part of the world where you came from to join this meeting. Bowman, I must thank you, because every time I get confused, I keep sending you emails and you never fail to respond to me. Thank you so much for everyone that support this program. Understand the fact that we are all here together. This is not my idea. This is our idea. We all have to work and function along this line together to ensure that we are able to create value and impart people with competencies. I think we've spent quite a lot of time today on this program, and I know we will be leaving right now. I wish you all the best of the rest of the day, and thank you, and God bless you, and bye.